Yep,
All
recording
right.
on my end. We're good.
I'm recording as well. Hello, YouTube. And here we go. Welcome to the show. Listeners, it is good to have you back. Busy show tonight. We are recapping the end of the Olympics, at least for us. We're recording on our usual Monday. The closing ceremonies were yesterday. I'm lying when I say this, but I have in my head shed some tears because the Olympics are over. It was a great 2.5 weeks. It always goes by too fast. Always. There's never been an Olympics where I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for this to be done. That's never happened. It never will. But good Olympics, the U.S. tying China with 40 gold medals. Of course, we know how the tiebreaker works here in America. You go by silvers next, we win that, so we win the whole thing. That's how this works.
Nailed it.
We did win most silver medals, most bronze medals, most total medals. Now, our good friends at the Sickos Committee have been doing a thing called aluminum medals, which is the team that gets
Yes.
fourth place the most. Surprisingly, the United States actually did not win the aluminum medal count. Italy did. So shout out Italy.
Congratulations,
I
Italy.
don't want to be. I don't want to be.
Congratulations,
That
Italy.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Well,
We either podium or we don't even bother showing up. Like
Yeah,
that's how. That's exactly how America does things.
that's pretty much true. And honestly, that's pretty much true
What's
of,
that one-
of China. They just have kind of, like the U.S. does, it's no different than what we do. They kind of just, they emphasize what they're best at. There's a reason why they're the best at, table tennis and weightlifting, and why we're the best at basketball. Just really where your
The ones
resources being
that are
spent.
cool. Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah. Guys, I hope your week has been good. Johnny, anything new and exciting over there?
Crew game this week, 4-0. Gotta love that. Just
Yeah.
reinforcing, the storyline of my potential curse that we spoke of last week. So
Yeah.
it's only the Reds, guys. It's only the Reds. Blue Jackets don't count. They're just terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Josh, anything fun going on for you this week?
Well, I need to let you guys know I am not going to be here next week. I just booked a flight last minute
Yes.
to Lausanne. That is, if you're curious, Lausanne, Switzerland. That is the headquarters of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS.
Yes.
I got unfortunate news about 2 hours ago from recording time that this I don't know, one sweaty guy in a room, I don't know who decided these things, decides that the bronze medal that Jordan, I've never said her name out loud, I'm so sorry.
Childs.
There it is. Oh, kind of like Biles. Perfect. It's real nice how they did that this year.
Yep.
Thanks USA Gymnastics. Cannot wait to see what happens in 2028. So Jordan Childs' medal was revoked. Bronze medal was revoked.
Yep.
For the floor routine, and the allegation was that see, it doesn't even matter because a medal got taken away. Some random guy in Switzerland said, we can't have it back. And USA Gymnastics posted that they will go to the Swiss Federal Tribunal, and so will I.
Thank you, Josh, for your
Solidarity.
service. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
He will be live
litigation-
tweeting it. from
Please do.
Litigation will become an Olympic sport by 2028.
Lausanne.
We are skipping through all of the pre-phases. We are going straight to main events.
Yeah.
It'll replace breakdancing since there's an open slot now.
Whew, yes, there is. We might talk
Was
about
I
that.
right?
I mean, we might talk about that a little. Now, yes, I think largely, but I do think the reaction to breaking is
chess
mostly everyone watched 20 seconds of breaking, and the 20
Right.
seconds they
That
did
was
watch.
unfair.
We watched, we all watched 20
unfair.
seconds of the
Yep.
of the actual last place one.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Did
It was
we-
totally unfair. Some of those moves were guys were actually extremely talented.
Yes.
Very good.
It's the
And she got,
equivalent of
0
showing
points.
someone who has never watched a game of basketball in their life. It's the equivalent of showing them a missed layup package on YouTube and saying, "Here's our sport. I hope you like it." Of course, they're going to hate it. And now,
Hey,
we can have.
Have you ever watched the MLB? No, that's okay. Here's the White Sox. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
It's not gonna hit.
That's exactly right. So, I think that is worth bearing in mind. Now we can have a legitimate conversation about whether breaking should be an Olympic event moving forward, but I obviously that's kind of where the discourse is. I get it. I totally
Yeah.
do.
We may have chess clubbed too close to the sun on this one. I apologize, guys.
Hey, that's
We
all
went
right.
too far too fast. We tried.
That's all right. It happens. It happens. Overall, guys, any thoughts on the Olympics? I have to bring up the men's basketball team, and obviously the women winning the gold too. I'm from Ohio, so generally my experience with Steph Curry is I've been rooting against him because some of his
never-
most famous moments were against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
This is
Get
the
it? And this
first
is the-
time I've
this is the
been,
same
like,
experience I
so
had-
Truly joyful watching this man.
Now, last year was kind of similar. 2020, Kevin Durant, I usually root against him. He put the team on his back, won a gold medal. That Steph Curry shooting experience in the fourth quarter, my wife can attest to this because we were watching the game together. I was just sitting there half laughing, half cackling to myself, half jumping around the room because it's the most ridiculous. It's not even the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen because somehow him and his greatness as a shooter, it's not even technically his best performance, which is stupid. 4 of 4 in the
He
fourth
didn't
quarter.
even have a good tournament.
No, he didn't win the MVP because it was
And he should
fantastic.
have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that was ridiculous. That final
This is
shot.
the- This is the
Warriors
only
fans are
time
the worst.
you have
because
an open
they have-
KD and an open LeBron, and he went, nah.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who can be justified
Mm-hmm.
in taking that decision.
Yep.
Yes. This is why Warriors fans are the worst. You can't complain about anything when you have a
I
man
mean,
who can do those things. Aaron,
I've
you
been
said you were
insufferable
cackling.
for the
Yeah.
past
That's
48
what
hours.
they've been able to do for a decade. I just
Mhm.
no, I'll never feel sorry for you, Warriors fans.
No.
I'm
I will
sorry.
say- no.
Never.
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 It is the NBA Patriots. Please shut up for a little bit.
Yeah.
No, this is, and I will say, this was overall basketball tournament was a fantastic tournament. Darn it, if the rest of the world has figured out a few things about basketball.
Uh-huh.
If Yugoslavia was reunited, Josh, we'd be in trouble.
yeah.
We might be cooked,
This
man.
is,
We might be in
this-
trouble.
Yeah.
I am so glad that we are definitively the best at basketball still. There is coming a year. Lord willing, it's not in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
soon,
Oh
there
no.
is coming a year where
Well, they
the
won't have
US
Braun, and probably not Steph,
And
or
probably not
Kevin.
KD.
It's
yeah.
it's going to be a brand new group. It could be LA.
No, it is. We can't be thinking this soon.
Ooh,
It
I don't know,
took
Josh.
there was no. The U.S. did not breeze through any one single
No.
game. There were games that were easier than others, but there was not one game. We were consistently up by at least 6 against France for the majority of the game. I don't think I sat the entire game. The second half, at least. I was like, I am worried. There are a billion turnovers. I think it was 15.
There's a lot. Yep.
Hey, keep the ball. Keep it.
Now, I will say, because
That
that's
was great. It was great. It was great on that. I mean, it was great. It was great defensive plays. But still,
yeah.
stop
Yeah.
it.
I will say,
We're
because
just-
I think the point
Go ahead.
of the fact that the world got very close to us, and we honestly partially saw that possibility entering this tournament. There's a lot of people that are like, all right, well, enjoy this one, you, and a lot of Americans, again, chronically online Americans, saying, all right, US, enjoy this one. This isn't going to happen again. And look, they might be right, but I think the other side of the coin is the US put together the best team they possibly could and won the gold medal, not super easily. I think the US now knows, hey, we can't throw out the kind of roster we had in 2020, no offense to any of the players on that team, and expect to win the gold medal in 2028. So I do think, and now LeBron and Steph and all these guys were a big part of it, I do expect to see our best rosters in the Olympics every year from here on
Yes.
out.
This was technically a scare. This was
Yeah.
like by
The
all accounts.
only reason we haven't lost yet is because we haven't had to face multiple superstars from any of these countries.
Yeah.
They're all still isolated. And that doesn't mean like Serbia obviously is more than just Jokic,
100%.
but Greece is basically just Giannis. Like these players are still isolated. The time is coming when eventually they won't be.
There
And
will be countries
two on
who
a
produce
team.
2 superstars. It's not that hard
Exactly.
to
And
imagine.
then we will be in trouble. We will be in trouble when that happens. And it could hit just in also kind of what we're talking about in LA, where it's just kind of a resetting year. It's a new crop, it's a new group of players. They're not quite ready for it. LeBron's been there this whole time, basically. He's going to be like, your top 3 players are probably all gone. And I'm not even mentioning the depth pieces. Like Drew Holiday's probably out.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is probably gone. Like there's a lot of these guys that this was it for them. So great for them. Great for them.
We also won. Well, we won gold in a lot of places, but as far as team sports, we also claimed gold in women's soccer. Johnny, I know you were super dialed into that game. What did you see from this team, not only in that game, but as a whole? Because the defense was tremendous. Some extremely clutch saves down at the end. Really, even in stoppage time, the right arm extended save was ridiculous. What did you see from the U.S. women winning this tournament for the first time in a little bit?
Well, first stat that I'd love to share, which is just a absolutely insane stat, but the U.S. women have never lost in an Olympics that they lost. They've never. I'm sorry, I have to rephrase this. Each time they've lost in the World Cup, they've never failed to win the gold the next year in the Olympics. I mean, it's kind of an insane stat, especially the fact that they're literally just a year apart. You would think it would be similar teams. They react so well to disappointment. They push all the right buttons were pushed by Emma Hayes from the get-go by kicking out the veterans. Like, and the frustrating thing as a fan is when you're screaming it and then you're proven right later on, and you're happy that you were eventually proven right and they made the change. But if it would have been done 2 years ago, the results at the World Cup could have been different. Now, we enjoy winning the Olympics. We don't have to go back there. Girma was insane on defense. She was so good. She was covering all over the place. Alyssa Nair, rarely called upon in most of these games, but when she was, madness. The Germany game in the semifinal, the kick save she had in that one, she was outstanding. Towards the end of this game against the French, and remember, they're home. That's a really, really difficult situation to be put in in a soccer crazed country like France when they're home. So I was just, and then, I mean, the Trident up top, I don't know what they're calling themselves. They have like a million nicknames at this point. I, for one, like the Trident. But with especially the pace of Rodman out wide, they just kind of unleashed her. And she was able to get Sophia Smith into a lot of dangerous situations. The goals were spread out between the 3 of them. It was masterful to watch. It was great to see the next group of women kind of seize control. And we'll see a lot of them in the next World Cup in 3 years. So I'm excited to see them going forward. Yeah,
it was just good to see that happening, and then the men winning the gold right afterwards. Saturday was a good day.
It's a good day.
Good day. So,
and one of these days, one of these years, we'll find 11 men who can play soccer halfway decently.
Yeah, under the age of 8 of them more than 8, all but 3 of them under the age of 23. So we really get those.
I'd take an Olympic gold.
Oh man,
I
that'd
don't
be
even need the
unbelievable.
World Cup.
No, yeah,
I'll
anything.
just take an Olympic.
Heck,
gold.
an Olympic medal of any kind would be pretty remarkable for the men. It's been a long time since really we've had any kind of finish like that, even. So
hey, speaking of long time since a medal, I was track and field, men's track and field, women's track and field, both of them. Like, I was so, I think a lot of us were surprised, but so those were probably some of my favorite moments was these last second polls. And I can't speak of one person
because there's so many of them.
There were so many. Whereas like in the last 30% of said race, sprints, for the 400, the 1500, like I think everything minus the women's 4x4 and the women's 4x, the other one that was
the
insane.
women's 4x4 was just destruction.
Oh, I thought we were going to start a war. How bad
they went
the other
scorched
countries.
earth. Yep. Like Sydney McLaughlin is
Oh my
unfair.
gosh.
She didn't even run the Open 400.
Unkind.
Did you see the stat on that?
Oh,
If she had been competing in the Open 400 with her hurdles time, she would have finished 9th in qualifying. She would have almost qualified for the final with hurdles. She would have won that race too. I have no doubt. She would have won the 400 Open hurdles.
Sign up to see. All right, you can be
run so much. I get it. Like, you want to make sure you win your races that you're running, but I mean, because in the 4x4, I don't think she did any of the qualifying, and then just threw her in there. I mean, crazy,
wild,
just but Josh, what the most memorable one there for me, and maybe we talked about this last week, so I won't do a lot, but the mile. Well, it's not a mile; it's 1,500.
No, it's the mile now.
But that's probably why he won. He's used to running a little further.
Yeah.
That kick, man. He was ready to go. Beat the Norwegian, beat the Brit.
He was okay at the end too. It looked like he was on his last leg, and then he still had a little bit of energy. I'm like, yeah. It's awesome. And we can't tell the Europeans.
Cole Hawker, by the way.
Cole Hawker, thank you. I was getting everything starting to like blend in my head, and I'm like, it was just one cool. Insanely fast guy after another. Insane.
Yeah. The track and field we absolutely destroyed. By the way, just shout out to U.S. women in general. What I think they had 20. Was it 26 of the 40 gold medals that we had?
Yeah, well over
at least. It might have been a couple more.
Yeah, absolutely dominant performance by all the ladies. We shout you guys out. That's really impressive. Good Olympics. Good Olympics overall. And even honestly, some room to grow too, I would say. I mean, there's like women's water polo. They've been dominant. They didn't even get a chance to get gold. So I'm not saying we left gold medals on the table, because you can say that for every country. What I am saying is in 2028 in LA, I think we have a chance to do some. If you thought this was a destruction, especially in athletics, wait till LA 2028. That will be a lot of fun, because you're getting the U.S. in events like handball and like men's field hockey and some other things that we weren't in because we didn't qualify. And you know what? I think we could accidentally get bronze in something like men's field hockey. Maybe this is me being arrogant, but we had the most gold medals, so I'm allowed to have a moment of arrogance. And we're getting the Olympics in the summer next. Heck, Snoop Dogg already had his concert. We're so ready for LA. He's ready to go. 2028.
I will say, and I don't want to put us too far off track. This wasn't something that I can put under what I'm following, because it is too close to what you just said. YouGov, and I don't know what YouGov is. I believe it is an online research company based out of the UK. So let's just call it their version of Pew. Put out today, 1 in 4 Britons reckon they can qualify for the 2028 Olympics if they started training today.
Yeah.
Now the specifics. Now that headline sounds hilarious. Here's the thing. Because some of it's like there's a little bit of arrogance. Some of it is pure delusion, and it's pure delusion for everything. But it's like what animal do you think? What's the largest animal you think you could fight hand-to-hand combat with and win against? That we talked about a few months ago. Yeah. But get this. 15% of the respondents thought they could qualify for the 10-meter air rifle.
Okay. Yep, that checks out. I've got 13%.
13% archery, and that just shows me they only watch the TV coverage.
Yeah, they don't know how far they're actually shooting.
Seriously.
9%, 10 and 9% respectively said they could qualify in either badminton or table tennis.
Okay. I mean, maybe for their country they could.
I was gonna say, maybe relative to their country.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they even. I didn't see the UK put up their table tennis team, so I can't.
Yeah.
6%. That's not a large percent, but it's still 6% of people in the survey thought they could qualify for the 100-meter sprint.
Yeah, that's the most delusional.
That's egregious. Because then only 3% said they could qualify for rugby sevens or skateboarding or artistic gymnastics. And I'm like, more of you think you can run you can beat Usain Bolt. They say qualifying, not medal, but like still, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. 5% say they could they could qualify for golf. Fine. Whatever.
Good luck.
Most golfers
No.
are
You literally have to
delusional,
be
though.
the
That's
top
not surprising.
4
I feel like that
golfer
should be
in
higher.
your country. It's not.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised it's not higher.
Yeah,
5% of people.
Golfers are
win.
delusional about their game.
that's true.
I just, it's crazy.
That's
I
true.
don't
This
know
one's
why.
funny. This one is funny because it's the UK, and this is the last one.
I expect better out of them.
I expect
Well,
better out of them.
Come on,
4%
you
say
don't
they
think
could
Americans are doing this
qualify for the
exact same
triathlon.
thing? I know they're doing the
No,
exact same
that's
thing.
my point. I expect
hey-
it from us. I
Oh,
expect better
okay.
from them.
Okay, fair enough.
I expect better from them. If this was Americans, I'd be
We're
like,
supposed
okay,
to be
cool.
loud, fat, and arrogant, not them.
Yeah, everybody's gonna hate us.
Did you
4
actually
years.
see that? Did you see that that survey put out the other day? People checked relative to like if you scaled the UK to with like percentage of GDP, education, all of that, you scale it to a US state, you know where they rank as far as states go? And this counts for all the factors, GDP, education, all that ish.
I'm going to say 11th.
Okay, that's not bad.
16.
49.
Oh,
Puts them right in
wow.
between Alabama and Mississippi. Mississippi is still 51. Or should they be 50th? If you have them as a 51st state,
Sure.
they're 50th.
Yeah.
And this is,
Oh.
yeah. Because there's still trade deals that all of these coastal states have for like trade and stuff.
Mm.
So they're doing okay there.
Wow.
Take that,
Oof.
UK. We'll take you back. You already had a July 4th election.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't
do
tell
a
them
friend
that
with it.
Americans are secretly wishing they could be in Great Britain. Probably right now, but not today because we won the most gold medals. So
Not
today,
Not today.
not today. I
In a
do
few
want to
more-
go
in a
back to
few
the
more
comment
days, I'm
you
gonna be
made, Josh,
kinder.
about the 10-meter air rifle, because now we touched on that a little bit, but I do want to take some time on the show just to say thank you for your support of us really during the Olympics, because we had some videos that did very well. One of those videos, if you are a YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube right now, because we do stream this podcast live every chance we get when we record, you probably noticed we've gained some subscribers. A big reason for that is because of arrogant Americans, and we thank you. Because here's the deal: I'm looking at my analytics on YouTube right now, and we made shorts. If you missed it, we made shorts covering all the different Olympic events, how they work. We compiled it into a regular video too. Obviously, that's a little dated now that the Olympics are done, but if you have any lingering questions, those videos might be able to help you or refresh your memory in 2028. So I'm looking at the YouTube analytics, and so like sport climbing got 80,000 views, not bad. Surfing got 20,000. We've got judo with 23,000. Rowing's got 29,000 views. There's a couple others on this list.
I just saw the one you're.
Yeah. Triathlon, 26,000 views. Olympic shooting, 2.1 million views. Now it's half because of you, arrogant Americans.
You
Like,
darn Americans.
Why aren't we winning
Stupid
this? Why do they look
Americans.
so dumb? Half of it's the amazing Turkish guy that didn't wear any gear and just showed up, bop bop, silver medal. So we think. I want to give an extended thank you to both that Turkish guy and you, dumb Americans, who are trying to figure out why we didn't win the shooting events. Which maybe there's some fairness to
They
that.
did win one of the
Didn't
rifle
we win? I was gonna say,
events.
did we
Oh,
win
okay.
one
They
of the
did win a rifle, and
Okay.
that was
We
the
won
joke
s-
then.
We won
which is
speed,
a
right?
terrible joke.
Yes, it
was a terrible joke.
Yes, it is. So, but really, that was more of a sarcastic thank you. I do want to give a genuine
It's
thank you
because
to
it's
all the
air
people that
rifle,
have
and they were
followed
like,
us
"No, we're
on
done. This
social
is
media. Again, we've gained like a bunch of subscribers, so we thank you for that. If you have not subscribed, we do have other content on YouTube. We encourage you to do that. We've gained more of a following on TikTok. Instagram kind of went crazy. We gained literally like 60,000 followers over the
gosh.
Olympics. So again,
Oh
if you're
no, guys,
if-
we're too dumb. Stop it.
yeah, I know. If you're new and you've joined because like you found our social medias and that's how you're hearing this podcast, we just want to say thank you and probably so sorry for.
It was so sorry.
The rest of this
I
show.
commit to no more than an hour of work ahead of these shows.
That's
This
right.
is my promise from day one, and now you're going to make me feel bad. There's so many of you.
That's right. That's right. So thank you for the support. It means a lot. We've got a lot more content coming out, and specifically, we have a lot more content coming out about college football. Because we were trying not to look too far ahead in the calendar because, again, savor the moments of the Olympics. However, as we are recording right now, we are 12 days away from college football being played. Week 0 is a week from
0.
Saturday. We'll break down some of those matchups next week on the show. Don't miss that. For today, the AP poll top 25 just came out, which that's never a controversial subject at all. Now, if you disagree with some of the aspects of the AP poll, which most people do to a certain extent, no poll is perfect, but the poll we think that is really good is the 5th and goal poll. And that will be coming out next week, so stay tuned to our socials for that. But in the meantime, we will react to this AP top 25 preseason poll. We'll walk through it. We'll talk about the teams that we think are maybe properly ranked. There's maybe some overrated teams on this list, and we'll debate accordingly. So let me give you the top 10 in reverse order. So this is where we are starting the season in the top 10. Number 10 is Florida State. Number 9, we've got Michigan. And that's interesting because obviously Michigan won the national championship. We have talked a little bit about
knows. AP knows.
They do know that they probably did at least watch that game. But obviously Michigan loses a bunch. They lose a bunch of coaches. They lose a bunch of players to the NFL draft. They fall 8 spots. The only team that's fallen further is Arizona in the top 25, and they also lost their coach. So that's notable. Penn State's number 8, Notre Dame number 7. Ole Miss starts the season at number 6, Alabama number 5, Texas is number 4, Oregon 3, Ohio State 2, Georgia 1. Now, there's been a trend in college football in the AP poll top 25. In 18 of the last 20 years, a team that was ranked preseason top 10 has finished unranked in the AP poll. My question to you guys is, what is the team this year, if there is one, that starts in the top 10 and finishes unranked?
Ole Miss. Ole Miss is my answer. And I actually, so I'll qualify this, I guess. I have them in my top 10 too. Like there's really no way to not put them in your top 10. I think if you're really looking at the talent they have on their field, but I think Jackson Dart is overvalued. I think at times in college football, we see, it's his 3rd or 4th year. That means he's great. Not necessarily. And Jackson Dart has never won a game for Ole Miss, in my opinion. Now, they have a lot of good talent around them. And here's the thing. Their schedule honestly lines up really, really well for them. It's a very favorable schedule. So I honestly have such a difficult time picking a team out of this top 10. I have a really hard time seeing any of them not ranked at the end of the season. And I would wonder how many of those 18 seasons that it did happen, there was a critical injury to one of those teams, like the starting quarterback. So, because, you can't predict that. There's no prediction in that. Ole Miss's early season starts off so well, so this prediction is going to look stupid. But they end the season playing LSU, Oklahoma, and Georgia 3 of the last 4 weeks. So there you go. There's your possible gauntlet there for Ole Miss. I haven't seen Lane Kiffin really win that big game. Doesn't mean he can't. I haven't seen Jackson Dart win that big game. Doesn't mean he can't. But that defense also has not proven to me that they can stop anyone. And until that last one happens more than the first two, I won't believe in them in a real title contender. So I go with Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the teams I was considering. I'm with you, Johnny. I don't think there actually will be a team that totally falls out of the top 25 again. If there's just extraordinary injuries, then sure.
Right.
The thing that might, if you're looking for weaknesses in Ole Miss, it's a couple things in my mind. Number one is their defense. I think their offense is going to be fine. I realize they lost Quinshad Judkins. They already have a couple guys ready to go, including a 1,000-yard rusher that Johnny and I literally watched from the sidelines last year, and Rashad Amos played for Miami. Was their first 1,000-yard back since 2005. So that's a fun fact for you. Them meaning Miami. So he's a really good player. That's a big addition for Miami. That's a big subtraction for Miami, a big addition for Ole Miss. So defense is one thing. The other thing, though, is I did mention a transfer, and that is a huge story for Ole Miss. They have the number 1 transfer portal class. That should be a really good thing. The only risk you run in my mind is getting all of those different transfers to gel in this new system. That's where in high school recruiting, you kind of build that even in the recruiting process. You give players an understanding of here's this program, here's how we work. You can kind of build that into them as freshmen. That's not necessarily the case with the transfer portal. I'm not saying, like you said, Johnny, I don't. That does not mean it won't work. We have not necessarily seen a team built with that roster win a championship, but that's also because we've only seen rosters being built this way. It's only been allowed to be built this way in the last few years. Colorado is just a league of their own. I truly
They're
don't
not
think
ranked, by the way. They're not even ranked.
correct.
They got that right.
Yes, they got that right. Colorado, they're in a complete league of their own. They have like 60 some transfers this year. I believe Ole Miss has like 25. So we're not even having the same kind of conversation. I truly don't think that system for Colorado actually works. I don't. And that's the conversation probably for
Because Ole Miss is actually recruiting still.
Yes.
They are
sure.
still actually recruiting.
Yep.
They have real decent recruiting classes on a yearly
Actual people.
basis.
Yeah. A team I will throw out, again, I don't think they finish outside of the top 25. Heck, I'm not even sure they don't win their own conference. But a team to watch that could fall off is Florida State. And how would that happen? It would happen if DJU comes in and it just does not work out. It's kind of a Clemson situation with him again. The losses they've sustained, obviously, I'm not holding that bowl game against them because of the situation. A lot of players didn't play. You have the kind of the fallout from not making the playoff as a perfect team. But the reason I think they could fall out of the top 25 with some losses, let's keep in mind, if everything goes wrong for Ole Miss, worst case scenario, I think we're talking like an 8-4 team. As an SEC school that is 8-4, you are going to be closer to making the playoff than you are falling out of the top 25. Florida State, on the other hand, plays in the ACC, which appears to be weak here in the preseason. Their big games are home against Clemson, at Notre Dame, and at Miami. If they end up losing all three of those games, where are the wins on this schedule that actually keep you out of the danger area of being left outside the top 25? So they could literally have the same record as Ole Miss, but the schedule is not, is not great. Now, obviously, the flip side to that is, okay, the schedule's not great. You shouldn't lose more than 3 games, and I agree with that. I mean, again, those are the most difficult games at Miami, at Notre Dame. They host Clemson. They do play Florida. We'll talk about Florida in a minute because, gosh.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
It's...
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that.
Yeah. I'll give an outside answer. And I say this, again, I don't expect them to do this, but and again, I'm going to put this outside of everything that's going on with this program. If a team is going to, I'm split between Oregon or Michigan, but I'm leaning towards maybe Michigan because of the newness of everything, plus the intensity of their schedule.
Yeah.
Week 2, they're hosting Texas, and that's okay. But that's going to be tough. Hosting USC, at Washington, hosting Oregon, at Ohio State, just to name the big ones. That is it again, kind of like we've talked about with Texas for the past few years. Without necessarily doing anything terribly wrong, they could find themselves on the other side of those games, of any of those games or multiple of those games very, very easily. That's not even counting if mid-season like suspensions happen, which I'm not factoring that into my estimation at this point, because that hasn't happened. It could
just
take
like
years.
injuries. You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
There's
Those
no
are
science for
intangibles.
that.
Yeah. There's no science to the AP poll. Well, there's slightly. It's
barely.
Always a way too early. There's always a way too early predictions, and so I don't expect them to drop that far off to be unranked. But if I were to pick a team, I see that if I'm going to pick vulnerability, I'm seeing them as a highly vulnerable program this season, just because of all the changes that are happening and the intensity of their schedule. They got a brutal new Big Ten schedule.
Yeah. And so many of those games you mentioned are happening relatively early in the season. I think if you took a Michigan coach and did a lie detector test, number one, I'd be fascinated to know their answers on certain things.
My first question is probably not how do you feel about the roster?
Yeah. But then after we get through all of that mess, my question would be, all right, tell me your confidence level in your quarterback. Is Alex Orji really the answer? And I don't think, out of everything I've read, and I've studied it, we've got a lot of college football content that we're prepping right now. I think the serious answers, I think they'd give you, out of a scale of 0 to 10, I think their honest answer would be a 5. I think it would. We know he's good in the run game because they literally used him as a runner, even when you had a mobile quarterback in JJ McCarthy. He's going to be very much a weapon in that way. But can he pass the ball effectively to beat some of those teams? Because this is not the Big Ten of old where Michigan is playing a bunch of teams out of the West. Like their schedule last year was terrible. And fine, they won every single game in front of them. Doesn't matter. I'm just saying that's not the reality this year. JJ McCarthy, there were against Penn State. Michigan ran the ball 30 straight times in the second half. I don't think you're going to be able to do that against Texas. I don't think you're going to be able to do that again. Or maybe USC and Washington for that matter. But there's already 3 games on the schedule where you're not going to be able to do that and win.
Yep. Yeah.
And heck, maybe Penn State. I actually don't know if they play this year, but anyways,
they do not play this year.
That's right.
They got lucky missing them. I shouldn't say lucky. They're still playing a really tough schedule. But you're right. They'll still be able to bully Arkansas State.
Mm-hmm.
They'll still be able to bully Minnesota. They'll still be able to bully. I mean, Michigan State's probably the worst team in the conference this year. They'll be able to bully them. But you're not bullying Oregon on the line of scrimmage.
Nope.
That will not happen. Like, we're not even discussing Ohio State right now. That will not happen to Oregon. And they will really struggle to be able to do that against Texas. I think they might even still have an advantage. They're going to want that. But yeah, I don't see a huge drop off because there is a lot more coming back than I think people are giving Michigan credit for.
Yep.
And typically after the star coach leaves, it's not the first year that there's this giant drop off. It's the second and then the third. You're like, wait, what happened?
Yes.
So if I was predicting Michigan, I'd probably put them at 10-2 or 9-3 still. But again, we're forcing ourselves to pick a top 10 team to drop out. I don't think any of us are really thinking that any of these teams are probably unranked at the end of the year. Outside of the top 10, sure, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Outside of the top 25, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Why is Iowa keep? Why does I realize I know the answer?
They snuck in.
Iowa keeps
They deserve
slipping
to be
in.
there, Josh. Don't you do that. They deserve to be there. They have one of the best defenses in the country.
Yes,
I
best
realize
defense.
that counts for something.
Yeah,
I know
honestly,
doesn't
it
count
is
for
the
nothing.
best. It's the best because of the situation they're put in with their offense. It is the best defense year over year. How he's not won the Broyles Award every season, I don't know. They should rename it after Iowa's defensive coordinator. He's doing God's work. Yeah. God's work, Josh. That offense can't be worse. It's got to be better. It's got to be better.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Has to be.
I'm just so bitterly disappointed they're not playing USC this season.
Oh, I know.
I just so bitterly disappointed. I wanted the Trojans going to Iowa City in November just so badly because that game would have been atrocious. You would have had to hide the kids.
Gross.
You can't let them watch that game.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to bring up some group of 5 teams that are receiving votes. So at the top of the list is Boise State. They received 47 votes. For reference, Iowa at number 25 received 140. We've got Liberty with 32 after their undefeated regular season. We've got Memphis has 16 votes. We've got UTSA with 6, Tulane with 5, App State with 4, and Colorado did receive 1 vote in the AP poll. Josh, SMU getting 33 votes in their first season in the ACC. I actually do like SMU this year. Just
100%.
They are actually a rare team that moves to the big boys, the Power 4, and is actually ready to compete right away. I do think that's true of
100%.
SMU. So that'll be fun to watch.
Right in.
I don't really have any big major complaints. Again, stay tuned for the 5th and goal poll that we'll put out later. USC at number 23. I don't know.
I have them lower, but I don't have any giant complaints. No. I mean, we'll talk about they'll see on our poll, so I don't want to maybe throw even out my teams that might surprise people where they're at. I'd love the shock value.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about it
where they think they are.
Exactly. We'll talk about it next week a little bit as well with some week 0 coverage. Gosh, I can't wait. Got a game in Ireland. Not to spoil our coverage, but we will be talking Ireland next week because Florida State, Georgia Tech getting the season started there. All right. Well, picks of the week. I don't. Do we have to talk about this segment? We can skip this, right? So here's the situation. Johnny has continued to just pour it on. The Olympics went well for him. We all collectively got our various breaking picks wrong. So are we surprised? No, I suppose not. Johnny did get the U.S. women winning the 4x100. They won gold. I picked the U.S. women's to win water polo. They did not. They actually ended up in 4th place there. But Josh got the Serbia men's water polo team correct. So he adds a point. So when the dust settles, Johnny's got 11 points. Josh has 7, and I am stuck with 6 points. Now, we will have some college football picks coming up in this season, so I do feel like that's potentially my chance to catch back up, because I typically, that's really where I kind of moved ahead in season 0, which didn't have a trophy.
I guarantee too much. I guarantee too much.
So
college football gets me in the mood.
Yeah. So we are now going to pick the Little League World Series bracket. So this is a little unique because I actually don't think every single... Oh, no, that's not true. It literally starts in 2 days. I think we've got qualifying teams. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how this tournament's set up, we have a U.S. side of the bracket and a international side of the bracket. And they're kind of in different regions. So just for example, the U.S., the way this bracket's set up, is there's New England, West, Southeast, Midwest, Northwest, Southwest. Basically, I'm going to save you some time. Pick a direction, and there's a Little League team that is being represented, as well as in the global side. We've got Japan, Puerto Rico, Latin America, Caribbean, Mexico, Asia Pacific, Canada, Australia, Cuba, and Europe/Africa. So those are the kind of the regions being represented. Our goal is to pick what we think is going to be the winner. Now, again, we're coming off the Olympics where the U.S. won the most gold medals. I would love to pick a U.S. team to win the World Series, and I'll obviously be rooting for them to do so. Unfortunately, the reality of being in last place is I can't vibe anymore. I have to make what I think are good picks. So I'm going to pick Japan to come out of the winner's bracket for the world on the world side. I think they're going to win it because I don't have the odds, because gosh, I hope there's not odds for this. I don't have the odds
There are.
You people. You people. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
I looked it up because I had to.
All right, well, then tell me who the best American team's supposed to be. But my point was that they're all America, so how am I supposed to choose? I'm picking Japan.
This reminds me of I see on social media every once in a while Friday mornings for high school football.
You guys need help.
You degenerates.
Call the number.
We're not endorsing
we are
it.
not endorsing.
Yes,
thank you, Josh. We're at the exact same time. That could not have been more synced up.
We're not providing value judgments on the news.
We're not endorsing that at all.
You what the news is.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing a list here, but stuff is coming up. I'll need more time.
The number.
Yeah, I'll need more time.
Man.
Yeah, call the number if you're gambling on this. I was also going to pick Japan. Now I feel like I can't pick Japan. We're just picking a winner, not the matchup.
Well, we could pick the matchup. That way we're picking an American team, I guess. That makes sense.
My heart wants to pick the Great Lakes.
That's what I was about to say.
That was exactly where I was going.
I'm going.
Oh,
I'll go Southwest. I know nothing about the team representing the Southwest. Okay.
I'll go West. I assume it's California, and California is probably darn good. So
yeah,
we'll go with the West.
Okay.
I've been around so many stupid man-made lakes. I gotta pick Great Lakes just because I miss real lakes.
And you know what? I'll go with. Can't pick Japan because that's lame. I'll go with Cuba.
Ooh, all right.
Ooh, good. Oh, that's fun. I'm picking. I'll take. Oh, this is the Midwest in me. I saw the matchup and I have to. Great Lakes over the Caribbean.
Oh,
nice.
Oh,
Lakes versus seas. Let's go.
I love it.
You're gonna make me cheer against my homeland in that discussion, Josh. You can't do that.
Too late.
Good. All right. We all have different picks. I love it.
That's good.
I love it.
Johnny's gonna get them.
Oh, do I have to say who I have winning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll put an asterisk next to my team I'm picking. There you go, Cuba.
Perfect.
Or there you go. Bold is good too.
Yep.
Yes.
Johnny, you want to get us started on what we're following?
Yes. What we're following this. I mean, I've been following so many things. So much has
many.
been going on in the world. But we spent a lot of time talking about Olympics, as we should. One thing, and this honestly pops into my head every single year, the Olympics are on, or anytime I really watch international basketball. Does everybody love the FIBA rules far more than NBA? I personally do. I
can watch
greatly
so
enjoy
many
the
basketball
FIBA rules
games.
in basketball more than the NBA. Now, the commercial breaks is not a fair argument. I'll just shoot that down right off the bat. It's the Olympics, guys. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It never will be. I'm totally on your side that Americans are just cash grabbing all the time and there are too many commercials. Sure. But it's never going to be to the point of the Olympics. That's just not going to happen. I like the FIBA rules better. There's more physicality to the game. There's more contact. I feel like there has to be a little bit more nuance. I feel like there's more different ways to win the game when I'm watching FIBA. It doesn't have to be. Maybe this was just me, and we talked about Steph Curry, so this feels like a little bit going back on that. I felt like you didn't have to shoot a barrage of threes to win the game. And oftentimes in the American game right now in the NBA, it feels like you need a barrage of threes and just a mobile big guy. Now, a mobile big guy is obviously just the number one thing almost right now. I just really enjoy watching the FIBA basketball version. Aaron, is it true like only coaches could call the timeouts? Like
I think
some
so.
of it's just like I feel like the rules are often a lot more simplified in FIBA. So I think there's a lot. You're always going to have some arguments, but I felt like it took out many of the argumentative calls that can happen at times in the NBA. There's less traveling. There's more physicality allowed.
Yep.
It feels closer to original basketball that you play when you're in a league that gets called on you as a kid. And I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But more so than that, the NBA is talking about doing some sort of I don't know if it's in season, but I bet it could end up being an in-season tournament because they're trying to be international soccer, but an international tournament in conjunction with FIBA, basically a club, perhaps a club World Cup type of a thing. So I'm super intrigued by that. I think that would be so cool. I've seen the videos in certain countries like Greece, like the Baltic countries, like Spain, like Germany that love their basketball. They have great environments. And I think that would be so, so cool to go see the Celtics or, at the Lakers or the Cavs or whoever go overseas or they come here and have those games. I think that would be such a cool way to grow the game. I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm usually pessimistic in this, what I'm following, but I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's better than the in-season tournament. I didn't hate that, but I think this is even better. So that's what I'm following.
I like it.
Thanks.
I like it a lot.
I have a question for you both.
Okay.
Yesterday, my Wikipedia deep dives took me on a history of Secretariat and specifically how crazy fast that horse was. Most of its records, I think, for the Triple Crown, Belmont Stakes, Kentucky Derby, and the Churchill Downs.
Preakness, I think
he still holds.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah,
yep, same thing.
All three of his victories, he still holds the track record for.
Wow.
And he
That's
raced
crazy.
raced in 73. Had
crazy.
a 22 pounds heart. The average horse heart weighs about 8 pounds. His weighed 22.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
Estimations. They don't weigh hearts when they do autopsies.
Okay.
They should have.
So what happened was the same horse doctor who autopsied Secretariat also autopsied his main rival, and I forget what his main rival was off the top of my head. the rival horse's heart weighed about 18 pounds. And he's like, based on the measurements I took on this horse, Secretariat's horse was this much larger. I calculated it to be about 22 pounds. Insane.
Wow.
Dude could just run forever. In the Belmont stakes, he accelerated. It's what, a mile and a quarter, I believe, is the race length. He accelerated up until the end. Like, he posted faster and faster quarter mile times up until the end. He could have theoretically anyway. Deep dive, fantastic.
Wow.
But he holds specific records for the specific surfaces that he raced on, which I believe was dirt. I think he raced on a few others, but I believe dirt was the primary one. There are synthetic tracks, there's turf. Johnny, you play tennis. You know there are 4 types of tennis surfaces. You have artificial grass, you have real grass, you have hard, and then you have like clay.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you all of this to say, if you could change one surface on one Olympic sport,
does it
what
have
would
to
you
still be
change?
summer? Does it still have to be a summer surface? Like, we can't put them on an ice rink.
Anything. There are no rules. The tweet I saw, thank you, at Philimeu. I butchered that, but it's a fake word, so it's okay. What about like the 100 meters in Greek yogurt, a relay, but SPF 50
I thought this had to be a real surface still.
50 meters,
like that.
50 meters through chowder. Like,
I want to see Katie Ledecky swim the 1500 through chocolate pudding.
Nice.
She'd
still destroy everybody.
Yeah,
Basically, I was trying to think of what surface could is maybe Jello. I don't know. See what can slow her down. She'd still win.
I can't remember. Maybe it was last week we were talking about slam ball should be an Olympic sport. So just play basketball on a trampoline surface. Slam ball.
Yeah.
Done.
Yes.
That'd be
Excellent.
so much
Yeah.
fun.
Honestly, pretty much every event on a trampoline is better.
I like what
just
you're
have
thinking.
horribly injured people.
Yes.
Horribly injured.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
At least chocolate pudding, that'd be okay.
True.
I want like
Would you?
yeah.
I guess
want,
you
like,
would probably
fencing.
sink in chocolate pudding.
Chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
You could technically
So,
still
just, like-
drown.
But like
But-
but like
You could.
yes. I would like fencing
Ooh.
in like 3 feet of Jello.
Now that's interesting.
That's good. That really
I
really
think they
changes
should
the technique.
I think they should start off on top of the Jello though,
Ooh.
and they may
they
sink
get dropped
in.
in.
No.
What's the
They are
wait?
standing on top of the Jello, but if you don't step lightly enough, you might start sinking in said
Well,
Jello.
now you're talking
I
like
have
the
a really
cornstarch water mixture. If you don't move fast
Yeah,
enough, you
because
sink.
yeah, because now
Oh,
the
there you go.
non-Newtonian
See,
That might be good.
This is good.
You know what?
This is
Screw it.
good.
Everything is now non-Newtonian fluid. Handball, chocolate, soccer, everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, goalie, you're kind of stuck.
Well, the ball's not going anywhere.
True.
No, the ball's always moving. It's the people who have to keep like stepping out.
I'm trying to think what the worst
is
surface for
great.
soccer would be. Like
Ice.
because
I-
well,
I mean,
ice is the
Okay,
worst
so
for a
it's
lot
hockey.
of things.
That's
I
what,
guess
no, they invented hockey. You invented skateless hockey.
yeah. Well, I guess
Which
what
I
I mean
believe is
is,
already a
what's
sport
the
in
worst
lots of
surface that we could
Midwestern,
have
like-
soccer being played at, where the ball, it's almost impossible for the ball to move? What if we did soccer? Have you seen those like giant glue traps? What if we did soccer there?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
oh my
It's
gosh.
the worst. Everyone would hate it.
Yeah. You would kick the ball
Um,
once, and that's the end of the game.
It's almost like playing on a terrible field as a kid, though, that just has divots everywhere when it rains like a foot
Yeah.
and the ball just boop stops.
Soccer on Velcro would be fascinating because the ball it's not Velcro, but your shoes might be. So you have to like every step is the most
Ooh.
labor intensive thing that you've
Yeah.
ever done in your life. But the,
ball's
ball moves
still
freely,
rolling.
so the ball's still rolling.
Ball's fine.
Yeah, the ball's
doing fine.
flying.
And let's say to make it easier, we'll say that there are walls, like a little wall, like a barrier around the field, because
Okay.
I can imagine there's a lot of it's mostly out of bounds. If that's the case. It's mostly out of bounds.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
that checks
no.
yeah. Yeah, water polo, but it's Legos. Lego polo. It's just a giant pit of Legos.
Yes.
Because
Yes, I'm all
let's
about
face
that.
it, if you put
Josh, they're not stepping on it. They're okay.
well,
They're never actually stepping down on the Legos
I don't know if that's true. Because again, the water
because
is
you
gone.
have to
here.
tread water.
But there's no water.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you're
only
treading,
Legos.
You're treading the Legos.
Yeah, I'm sure that feels great.
Oh,
You're not-
hey. Also, straight to jail. Wingstop. Wingstop replies to this one. Ranch.
Oh,
Ranch
Eh.
is a surface. No,
no.
that's gross.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
I
not
just
even
said Jello,
funny.
but that
That's
was
just
funny.
gross.
I said Jello because it was funny. Ranch isn't funny. It's gross.
Correct.
Aaron,
Throw up
which
Wingstop.
wing sauce that we tried yesterday
Oh.
would you prefer to be the surface?
Well, if it was what'd you get, the Caribbean jerk sauce, and I thought you were gonna die.
Oh yeah.
I thought you might pass
And
away.
that was like the third or fourth from the bottom.
yeah.
It was so much worse than the
Oh,
hotter
jerk
yeah.
is so good.
Oh, I love the flavor. It was way hotter than any jerk I've had before. I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
Maybe they just had made the habanero and didn't totally get it off the brush. I don't know.
Yeah.
Real quick, Nick Alexander on Twitter says, "Can't wait for the 5,000 meter baked beans relay."
Oh yes, please.
No.
Yes, please.
Oh.
Oh wow. Well, hey, look, give us your suggestions at Twitter, because apparently this is where this conversation is being had. We're on Twitter at Fifth Goal Sports. Let us know the Olympic sport you would change the surface of. We'll react accordingly. Speaking of Twitter, there's one thing I want to bring up real quick before I dive into what I'm following. This is a virtue of at College Football Kings. Bring up a really interesting point that I meant to talk about in our top 25 discussion that I think is worth bringing up.
Oh yeah.
There is a constant conversation of Notre Dame is overrated. Now, I realize the reason why we get to this place. It's because, especially for more casual fans that tune in at the end of the year when Notre Dame was in the BCS or was in the playoff and they were routinely getting killed. That's really, in my mind, where this stems from. There's also a group of people that are always like, oh, Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. That's rarely true. Why I bring that up is because Notre Dame's recent preseason and postseason AP poll rankings are almost identical. In fact, in most years, they actually finish better than their AP poll rankings. So they are in the top 10 this year. I think this is a legitimate playoff team. It'll be fascinating to watch the Fighting Irish. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. And I'm not necessarily a Notre Dame
100%
fan,
true.
but I think it's just worth bringing up because for whatever reason, that seems to be a common misconception with Notre Dame. Moving over
They're
to
very
college.
accurately rated.
Yes, they are. Moving over to college basketball, and if you're asking Aaron, we are in the month of our Lord, August, in the year of our Lord 2024. That is correct. It's not when we typically talk about college basketball. However, while football is getting underway with the Olympics, a lot of the college basketball teams are taking their overseas trips. If you don't know, there's a rule which states that every 4 years, a college basketball program is allowed to go overseas and play maybe in a tournament against other teams or have some sort of a camp. So many teams are taking advantage of this. If you want to know which teams those are, just follow John Rothstein, who is then tweeting out standalone games when Louisville's playing in the Bahamas. We love that guy. The stock market's crashing. He's like, guys, don't worry. 2026, 2027, Georgia State and Portland have agreed to a home and home. This is the content we need. You are a hero, John Rothstein. George Mason, an Atlantic 10 team. Johnny and I are in Atlantic 10 country. George Mason,
Love those guys.
they were scheduled for a foreign tour in the Bahamas. Speaking of the Bahamas. So, look, I don't pretend to know exactly how these things get set up. There's a lot of managers on a team that deal with all the travel throughout the year in this kind of process. They went with the company that was supposed to hook George Mason up with everything. Flights, hotels, even the games that are being played. This company was supposed to do it all. A hosting company. George Mason, men's basketball, shows up to the airport and realizes that the hosting company had not booked flights, had not booked hotels, and no games had been scheduled.
Oh,
The trip then was canceled by the hosting company.
this is
The
like
the bigger problem here, as if that was not bad enough, according to College Basketball Report, several boosters and donors were already chilling in the Bahamas in whatever mansion they probably rented for the week, waiting on their beloved team that they're supporting to arrive in the Bahamas. And yeah, they never showed up. Never made it.
This is the opposite of Bishop Sycamore.
I mean, I guess I don't feel so bad for the boosters because
yeah,
we're still in the Bahamas
They
on
were going to spend
vacation.
that money anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sucks. Like, I'm not saying like it doesn't suck, but like, it's like, oh no, maybe we'll go see more of the landmarks in Nassau.
Now, this does open up a host of questions, such as if I am the person traveling and I don't have a boarding pass and I'm going to the Bahamas, that's a red flag in my mind. So, all that aside, apparently this company has worked with Georgia, Tulane, and other schools in the past. So I don't know how this happened. George Mason, maybe they were just considered too low on the totem pole, which is stupid. Anyways, that's the story. There's not really a good ending. That's how we're ending the show. Is George Mason?
Are they suing? Is there a lawsuit?
I would think so, but
there's got to be.
There's got to be. We'll wait for more information on this. If we find it, we'll bring it to you next week. But I thought I would throw that out there because wow, that's a thing that happened. So not a great way to end the show for them, but
no. But there's so many good things happening.
Yep.
And the Olympics were fantastic. Little League World Series starts when, Aaron?
2 days from now. So when this show comes out on Wednesday. Yep.
12 days till week 0.
12 days till week 0.
I woke up on Saturday. It was 60 degrees.
Oh,
couldn't be better.
Amen.
Couldn't be better.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this show. So for us, thank you, listeners, for checking this show out. Again, we'll be back next week actually talking about a college football matchup that will be happening next week. So stay tuned for that. As always, stay tuned to our socials. We've got a lot of college football content coming your way. We encourage you to follow over there.
Finally, flights to Geneva, $900.
Oh,
they leave tomorrow.
Action statement, Josh. Action statement.
Action statement. I'll see you there.
That's right. That's right.
Passport in hands, leaving tonight.
Yep. Amazing. All right. YouTube, podcast, everyone, have a good rest of your week.